Hey, what is up guys, Grenadier here. Welcome to another video, and today we're doing a basics of After Effects in under 15 minutes. Now let's get started, but first I want to shout out Wacko Plays. So he commented in my previous video about if I could please make a series on how to use Adobe After Effects, and definitely this is the video for you, man. So let's go ahead and get started by opening a brand new composition. So the way you do that is by clicking that, or you can just go to File, New, and do project or any of this stuff, but I mean you can just click there. This should always come up when you start, and then it's going to ask you what the resolution and stuff, and you don't even have to worry about that, and just hit OK. And we're going to go ahead and get started by importing some footage. So by doing that, you need to either go up here and do import, where is it at? Right here, import file, or you can do Command or Control I. Let me go ahead and find some footage here because I don't remember exactly what I did. So okay, let's use this. This looks pretty cool. So you're gonna go ahead and hit open, and my computer's a little slow. I have a lot of stuff open, and so you got the clip right here. All right, and what you want to do is either drag it and create another composition if you haven't done so already. That's one way to start a new composition, but we already made one, so just go ahead and drag it onto the timeline. And so as you can see, this clip is not perfectly sized to do whatever I want to do. So here is where we get into the timeline stuff. So let's go ahead and just take a break for a minute, and let's talk about the panels, because that is probably one of the most intimidating things that people experience when opening up After Effects. They're like, whoa, too many panels. So this project panel here is where you'll have all your clips and all your folders and all that good stuff. Okay, so nothing crazy here. Down here is a timeline. Now there's a lot of stuff to look at here. So over here, let's go from left to right. So here is the time code where you can put like maybe a specific like 10 seconds, and it'll go 10 seconds into the clip, and you can mess around with that. It'll tell you the frame rate right under it. And then over here you can turn on and off the clip, or hide it and make it appear. That's what the eyeball is. And then the little microphone here, or the speaker, basically enables and disables the sound. Over here, soloing means that you focus on a single clip, and it'll just block everything else and just let you focus on one specific clip. Now over here, I'm just going to turn that back off, is the name of the clip and all that good stuff. So that way when you name your stuff, make sure you name it something, not just something crazy, so that way you know what it is. Over here you have all these effects here, so you can add 3D to it. You can add some hue and saturation, motion blur, and a bunch of other cool stuff here. And I don't want to go too in depth because I really could just go on for days. So over here on top are the things that you want to enable if you want to enable down here. So what that means is that if you want motion blur, you have to click up here, and then you get that motion blur connection there. So you got to do that. Over here is your timeline, and this is your time head, your player head, whatever you want to call it. And then this here is your render area. So if you bring this back over here, this first part's not going to render, just this part over here. So that's what that does. And then let's see, I think that's about it for now. Let's go ahead and move over here, just if you're curious. Up here, this really doesn't mean anything. Down here is your preview. You can hit play and pause. And then down here you have your effects and presets. There's about over 200 effects and presets that you can use to enhance your videos. And then over here there's just brushes, characters, your basic stuff, paragraph, and all that cool stuff. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Now if you're like me, I get kind of bored, and I've sat down and started watching my own tutorials, and I'm like, damn, people actually watch this all the way through. Thank you if you do. It's kind of boring, but thank you if you do. You're probably determined. You want to learn how to edit and stuff. But we're just gonna take a quick break here, just to give you guys some space to breathe and to think. So here's a clip of on how otters eat. Alright, so welcome back. Hopefully your mind is off of After Effects and now we're getting back into it, and it's like, you know, when you're taking a test you want to breathe a little bit so that way you don't just, you know, completely bomb it. So let's go ahead and get started with the scale, position, rotation, anchor, and opacity. So what the frick did I just say? I said a lot. So let's start with the scale. So if you hit S on your keyboard with the clip selected, it'll bring up the scale. The scale basically makes everything smaller or bigger. So as you can see, if I want everything to fit in the frame, I can just increase the scale, and there we go, everything is in the frame. Now let's talk about positioning. So positioning basically uses the X and Y axis. So if you're not in high school yet and you haven't gone to algebra yet, X basically means moving horizontal, so from left to right, and then Y is going from up and down. So that's what that does. So if you want a specific clip to be Nerf Gun War, okay, let's go ahead and keep going with the tutorial. So what you can do is if you hit S for scale, you can make this smaller, and then hit P for positioning. You can put this wherever you want it. So if you want it on, let's say this is the face cam, you can put that down there and it'll stay down there. Now let's talk about the anchor. So if you hit A, you get this anchor point. So the anchor point is basically where the clip will move from. So if we put this anchor at the bottom right corner, it'll look a little something like that. And then if let's keep this in mind, if you hit R, this is the rotation. So if you move this right here, it'll spin just like that. So as you can see, the anchor point is now at the bottom right. It used to be right in the middle. So if we go back and we change the anchor point, so I'm just hitting Control Z or Command Z. If we leave the anchor point in the middle, and let's move this over here and hit R on the keyboard, it'll move the clip right from the middle. So again, the anchor point is kind of important if you want to do some cool animations and stuff, and that is what that does. Now let's go ahead and do the opacity. So the opacity basically does that. So the opacity means if it's not visible to visible. So if you want it like maybe 40% visible, that's what that does, or if you want it 0 or to 100. Now let's go ahead and move on to animating stuff. So hopefully I'm not going way too fast, but animating. So what animation is setting the beginning and end keyframe. So as long as you remember from beginning to end, beginning end, beginning end, that's how you animate. You animate from the beginning to the end. So, or you can do from the end to the beginning. As long as you remember those two, you'll be fine. So let's go ahead and animate this right here. So let's hit scale and let's animate the scale. So if you see a stopwatch, you can animate it. So let's go ahead and animate this right here. So we're gonna start with a 0 scale. So go ahead and watch this. So we're at 0, right? So the scale is 0, the size is 0. We're gonna go ahead and click the little stopwatch here, and that's gonna create this diamond over here. And this little diamond is called the keyframe. So this is the beginning. Now let's go ahead and go over here to the end. So that's the end. 10 seconds is the end. So now all we have to do is change this value, and then let's say we do that, and then what we have here is an animation. So at this point in time, the keyframe says we're gonna put the scale at 0, and then over here at 10 seconds, this keyframe is saying at this point we're going to scale everything up to 158, and then just this space and time here is the animation. So as you can see, that's the animation right there. It's really slow because there's a lot of space in between. So how do you fix that? What you want to do is bring the end closer to the beginning. So if you bring it up like that, it'll be much more faster. So as you can see, boom. That's, you just animated. You made an animation all by yourself, and it's not even hard, really. It's not. So let's keep this right here. Let's build on top of this. So go ahead and click your clip again, and now we're gonna do position. So if you hit P, it'll bring up the position. And again, you wanna make sure that you start from beginning to end. So actually, I'm gonna teach you something really quick. If you hold Shift and hit S, it'll bring up the scale. So now you can see the scale, and positioning. So let's start with the positioning coming from the left. So if you hold shift, you can move this much faster from left to right. So let's just start all the way from the right, just like that, and then hit the little stopwatch. That's going to make a keyframe. And now let's go to the end over here, and then let's just bring everything back to where it was right here. And so now if you play this, you can see that we animated the scale and positioning. So now we have something that goes from 0 to 100 from left to right, and you get this effect right here. And oh my god, look at all this crap. Okay, now let's keep building on it, and hold shift and hit R. And when you hold shift, it's basically adding more stuff to it. So let's go ahead and click the rotation here at 0, or no, let's undo that. Let's do rotation. Let's add plus, I don't know, plus 300. Let's do 300, and then hit the little stopwatch, and then come back over here, right here, and change this back to 0. So now what we're gonna get is this. So a rotating, scaling, and positioning animation. So yeah, you can basically do whatever you want in After Effects in terms of animation and keyframes, and it's just a really cool thing. So now let's put the cherry on top and hold shift and hit T for the opacity, and let's change the opacity to 0. Hit the little stopwatch. Let's come back over here and make sure it's back at 100 right here. And so when you play this whole thing, there you go. You just animated the positioning, the scale, the rotation, and opacity. And if you hold shift and you look at all this stuff, yeah, it's a little intimidating, but as long as you keep your head in the game and you're making sure that you're, editing everything, one thing at a time, you'll be fine. So as you can see, beautiful, beautiful transition. The cool thing is that you can copy and paste these things as well. So if you do Control C and you come over here and do Control V, you can copy and paste these things. Now you're probably wondering why is it doing that? Well, it's because, again, remember, beginning, end, and then it goes beginning, end. So what you want to do is right click and go to Keyframe Assistant and do Time Reverse. So that way these keyframes are backwards now. So now it goes beginning, end, and beginning. And so it introduces the clip, and I'm just gonna turn off this audio for this clip. It introduces the clip, and then let's just go ahead and skip over here, and then it goes away. So we have just animated a clip, and this is probably the easiest thing that you can do, just animating all this stuff. So another commercial break. I know it's a little frustrating, but I just want to make sure you guys are focused. So here's a video of a raccoon that is a pet.
I have some already. I had some coming on last week. I haven't even been out there to check them.
Yeah, I've been leaving them awful lot.
Yeah, well, it'd only be 2 weeks old.
You've been to your house, this is the second time.
Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I mean, I didn't even know raccoons could be pets. But anyways, back into the video, let's go ahead and add some effects. So now we're building on top of this stuff. So now let's add an effect. Let's do Distort over here at your effects and presets. And let's do, let's do Mirror. So just drag and drop it onto your clip. And now this is what you should get. So let's move this time head over here, so that we can see what's going on. And as you can see, this clip over here now has an effect, and it has the mirror effect. And now if you change these values, now you're going to get that effect. So as you can see, you get that effect right there. So look at that. Isn't that cool? It looks kind of weird actually, but I mean, that's the point of the effect. So let's go ahead and leave this at 0 and hit that. And I'm not going to go too in depth about how you use each and individual, well, I can't even speak. I'm not going to go in depth into how you use each and every individual effect. And I mean, I can make a separate video for each and every effect. But what I'm going to show you here is that yes, you can animate this stuff, and you can turn it on and off by clicking this effects icon here. And you can also delete the whole thing. If you just click on the name of the effect, hit delete, and it's gone. But let's go ahead and just add it back in. And I'm just going to add this effect here. So I'm going to click the little stopwatch. Now it's keyframed at 0. And then I'm going to go over here and just add, change the value. And then so it's up to there. And then I'm going to go a little bit in front. And I can just see this whole thing animate. So I'm just going to play through it one more time just so you guys can look at it. And so then the mirror comes in nice and slow. Again, you can fix that by just dragging these together. So just bring down that effect, mirror, and so just bring these together a little bit closer together. Okay, cancel, just drag it closer, and now you should get this effect. So boom, and now it's mirrored, and now you have that effect. And so that should conclude the effects part. Let's go ahead and add a solid. So a solid is basically a solid that you can add in After Effects. So go up here where it says layer, new, solid, and just you can make it comp size, and or you can make it a specific size, specific color. I'm just gonna make mine red like that. Hit OK here, and then hit OK over here, and then now you have a solid. So this is a very high resolution solid. So what you can do here is a lot of things. You can add text to it, you can add a mask, you can change the size, and this is how I make my lower thirds. Actually, I use these solids to come out like that. So let's go ahead and animate this since we already know how to animate. So again, hit P, hit the keyframe, go a little bit forward to the end, and then just bring it back out like that, just like that, right in the middle. And so when this video plays, this comes out in the middle, and then we can have it keyframe one more time over here to add a keyframe. Remember, beginning, end, end, beginning, and then you just bring it right on back, just like that. I actually messed it up a little back like that. And so now what you have is this, and it'll go back out, and then you have that going on. And that's how you do a solid. You can add a mask to it, you can do so much stuff to it. So let's go ahead and move on finally to the text. The text is super easy. File, new text, and then you just kind of type. So let's just do text 1, and then click on the text over here itself. And then if you hold command, or if you hold shift or control, I think, on PC, you can go ahead and move this text here. So again, you can do that. Or if you hit A for the anchor point, remember, ladies and gentlemen, the anchor point, now you can move the whole text by hitting P and all that good stuff. And again, you can animate it to where it comes in right when this thing comes in. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. Just gonna move this all the way to the left. So beginning, end, boom, this text comes in and it goes back out, and here's where you just have to animate that thing one more time, and you can actually make it go somewhere else, like down, you know. And the cool thing about After Effects is that it shows you the lines, it shows you where everything is going, so that way, you know, you don't get confused or anything. So that is exactly how you do that, and that should conclude today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Hopefully we stayed under the 15 minutes, including the commercial breaks and stuff. And if you have any questions about anything that I did, leave them down below, and I'll make a more in-depth tutorial. This is more of an overall overview of After Effects, getting to know it, getting more comfortable in your shoes, and just learning how to use After Effects and all that cool stuff. And just thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Again, leave any questions down below, and peace out.